All right, so I'm going to, for the purposes of this, I'm going to switch over to Anderson's account. And we got a list of a few different things that might be useful for everybody to get a look at before we head into the next semester. Okay, so this is the PowerSchool Learning dashboard, and this is what you see when you log in. And so to create a masterclass for next semester, we're going to go ahead and you see where there's the list of classes right underneath that. We've got the little selection for new class. Come on, do the thing, Mac. There we go. I got the big arrow. Just one of my favorite little features. Uh, I'll hit new class, and then I'm going to give it a name. So, which class do you have? Is it English 12 that we're going to be doing?
English 11.
English 11. Okay. I'll name it English 11 S2. You can change that later if you like. But just for the purposes of right now, it's going to be English 11 S2. I'm going to unselect allow user nicknames. I think you'll agree with me. That's probably for the best. And then I'm going to hit next. I'm also going to get my doc off the screen. And then I'm going to hit finish. We don't have schedules set up for this year. Next year, hopefully I get the schedules in advance and then I can set that up. Didn't this year, so just not bothering with it. So now I've got my empty shell of a class created. So yeah, we've got our shell of the class here, and this is where you would want to be if you were creating like a test class for if you and a couple of other teachers were going to be contributing to the same, like, for instance, say for instance, me and a couple of other English teachers were going to make the semester final, and we all want to contribute into it. We can do that through creating a custom class that has no students in it, and then adding all the teachers into it. And to do that, to add teachers into this class, I'm going to click on Manage Class, Edit Roster. And then I'm going to go to the Teachers tab. And this is also useful if you've got somebody like Ida or somebody who needs to be able to see into your class. You can add them through this way as well. So yeah, I'm going to click plus add teacher. And I'll go ahead and put Ida in here because she's probably going to end up asking for
Yeah, I
your
don't
course
have
anyway.
any of her kids this year.
Really?
Yeah. But
Okay, then we can change it. Do you have another?
you could try Kimberly Palmer.
Uh, LY?
I think so.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and add her, and if that's wrong, then she can just let me know later on, and or let you know because you also have access to do this. Because it's a custom course, and even the regular courses you can add co-teachers in. So that's the way that you add a co-teacher in there. It's the same way that you can add a student in. And if you click on this manage button, you can also remove them in the same page. So if, for instance, we added the wrong person here, we can get rid of them as well. If this is a master course, though, you're going to want to set up your sections and then add the rosters from your existing courses. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and go to the students panel and then go to create sections. It's just going to ask, here it's going to say, here are the things that I'm going to do for you. Is this cool? Okay, that's what I want. Now, how many sections am I setting up for this?
4.
4? Okay, so I'm going to add 2 more sections. And actually, if I go over to my other screen here, I can pull up your PowerSchool. We're going to go ahead and grab your course schedule for semester 2. And this is the page that I'm looking at to get this information. You can see right on here, the important stuff is I'm going to need to know which courses to add. So right in here, I've got first period English 11, third period English 11, fifth period, and sixth period. And then I'm also going to want to know the section numbers for each of those, because the section number is that number that's in parentheses when you're taking a look at your course list. So for instance, my first period here is 1019. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking for a course with 1019 in it. So I'm going to click Import Students. I'm going to search my class for English. Only list my classes, that's the big thing. Make sure that that's checked, otherwise you're going to get all the English teacher stuff. Then I'll hit search, and now it's going to say, okay, I've got all these period English 11. Looks like you've already gone through and
I just
renamed
did it.
them.
Is that helpful or not?
Uh,
I thought it would be. So
it
now
you
I
know
screwed all
it
up.
works. But anyways, we can go with
Change one real quick.
no, don't worry about
Okay.
it. At this point, I'm
Sorry.
looking for period 2 or period 1, semester 2. Are we seeing that? Period 1. Here it is. So I'll click import. Link period 1. Keep that. Hit continue. And you can double check your list and make sure that this is your period 1 class and click import. And so there are some nice things that you can do involving sections. Like now that I've created a bunch of different sections, if I want a page visible to only specific sections, I can set it up that way. So right now, the first page, the checkbox here says this page is for all sections. If I uncheck that, now I can say, okay, this page is only going to be visible to first period and fifth period. So if a couple of sections are getting a little bit further ahead than other sections, I can publish it only to the sections where that's going to be relevant, so as to not confuse those other students. And then when they all get caught up, I can just go back in and change this back to this page being for all sections. And I hit save, and that updates that. So let's see, at this point, I believe I'm done with being somebody else. Now we're going to take a look at copying content, which is especially relevant for those of you who are sharing quizzes or sharing final exams for semester finals. You know, some departments have already created, like, I know there's a couple of test courses in the English department where they're collaborating on semester final quizzes. So in those cases, or in the case where you want to take some stuff from one class and move it to the other, it's important to know the steps that are involved in that. So say, for instance, that I have created an assessment on the assessment page. You know, I've got a whole bunch that I've pulled in from other people's stuff. So say, for instance, I've got a couple of assessments that I want to bring over to a live course with students in it. Or I created it in my first period class and I need to bring it to my third period class. I'm going to want to create a new page just for the purpose of moving that over. And I'm going to name it something that makes it obvious. So in this case, period 4 test. I'll hit save. And now I've created this new page, and within this page, I'm going to add that assessment that I want to move over. So I'll go over to Messages and Activities, and then Assessment. And then I'm going to select the draft of the assessment that I want to move over. So this gibberish one is going to get published. I'm going to want to set my due dates or my open dates up before I move it over, or I'm going to want to stick it to restricted access and just not set up a password yet, because I don't want my students to be able to just take it immediately. So I'm going to set December 20th through December 21st. You can't set up your grading stuff yet because we're not in a course that's linked with students in this case. So once you have the test into a course that's linked with students, then you'll be able to do that save grade to PowerTeacher Pro. But at least in this case, we've made sure that the students won't be able to go in and take the test before we're ready for them. I'll hit finish, and you guys won't probably see that error. And so now I've got my page ready to copy over to another class. So I'm going to go ahead and click Manage Page at the top right. Manage Page rather than Manage Class. It's confusing, they're right next to each other, but Manage Page. And then I'm going to do Copy, not Move. If I do Move, it's just going to take it from one page and move it to the other. I want to make sure that I keep the copy in my test class, but I also want a copy in the next class. So we got to make sure to hit copy. Then I'm going to select my course. So from the drop down, it's going to give me a list of all of my courses. I can use it there. If I know exactly the course name that I'm going to move into, I can type that in and it'll make the process easier. So test period 1, then I hit next, add another destination. Test period 2, then I hit next. And then I'm only hitting next because I know that these settings are going to be what I want. If I thought that I was going to have to put this as a subpage of something else, or if it actually mattered to me where it ends up, I would want to make sure that everything on this page is correct before I hit next. And then I will add another destination here because I've got 3 classes that I want to move this into. Test period 3, hit next. And then once I've verified that all 3 class periods that I want to move it into are present, I can hit copy, and then I can wait. Or this time it can go instantly, which is a surprise. That's probably to do with the fact that since this is just like a 10 question quiz full of gibberish, that moves a lot faster than the 100 some question quizzes that I was moving earlier today, so it does take a little bit longer. But yeah, now if I go to any one of those classes, it will either now or shortly they will show up and you'll be able to go in there and see, okay, here's my gibberish quiz. And when I go and take a look in assessments, it's also going to be in here. But the most important thing is putting it in that page because like the page acts as kind of like an envelope to send between classes. Okay, so to copy stuff into the library. So say for instance, I have created this test and a couple of other teachers could benefit from using that and I want to share it with them. I'm going to want to create the content and then put it into the library. So if I wanted to share this test to the library, I would again stick everything that's relevant into a page. So I could construct an entire page or an entire lesson and I can share that with the library. Or in this case, since it's just the test, it's going to be a page that just has the test in it. I'm going to click Manage Page again. Manage Page is where you go to copy your page. It's also going to be where you go to share your page with the library. And you can do that with Share. Then right in here, there's the option to share it to the library. If you select on that and hit Continue, now it gives you the options to name your resource and give it a grade level, give it a subject. That just makes it easier to find it later on. So I'm going to say that this is 12 plus, and it's going to be computers and technology. And then I will hit copy. And it's going to grab a copy of that page, and it's going to put it on the library so that anybody can click the Use This Resource button and pull down a copy onto their page. So I'm actually going to do that now. I'm going to go ahead and go into the library. I'm going to find an exam that I need to use. So for instance, I need to take this Ancient World History Semester 1 exam and put it into my course. All I have to do is hit Use Resource, and it will automatically put that resource into the class that you're in. That's by default where it wants to put stuff. If I'm in a class that I don't want that to go into, I can click this change class right here, and it'll give me that same drop down menu again. So I can say, okay, I only need this in period 2. I can do it that way as well. So then to finalize it, you hit copy resource. Once that's been pulled into your class, then you can take that and copy it to your other 2 classes. Like in my example, I have 3 classes that all need the same thing. But, you know, because of the way that you pull stuff from the library, it only pulls it into 1 class at a time. So in order to get that into my other 2 classes, I will need to copy the content over.
If you copied it into the master class,
Exactly. If
Would
you
that
copy it into the
be-
master class, you only need it once.
okay, just
Yeah. Anything you put in the master class that replaces you having to do it 4 times.
okay. That okay.
So let's see. Once I've created a master class, it's not going to be visible to anyone except for teachers until you make that class active. So right now, my test period 2 class is inactive, meaning that it's hidden from students. It's what Canvas used to call unpublished. Their terminology is slightly different between pages and classes on this one, and I think that's for the better because it was a little confusing. You would have the publish, unpublish button in the top right corner, whereas in this one, it's active or inactive. So when I'm in the class, if I go all the way to the bottom of this manage class menu, there's a thing that says make active or make inactive, depending on what state your class is already in. If it's inactive and not visible to the students, when I'm ready to make it active, I will click on manage class and make active. And it's going to ask me, do I want to make this class active forever or until a specific date? And if I could remember exactly what the date, the end of the school year was, then I could put that in here. But since I don't have my calendar up, I'm not going to even take a guess. I'll just leave it open, and then I can just keep it open until I'm ready to close it. So I'll keep the class visibility settings where it is. I only want people in the class roster to see this. So I'll hit save. And now anybody who's in my class roster is able to see this class. It's going to show up in their dashboard and it's going to be visible for them. When I am done with a course, like after the end of the semester, and there's no longer any chance that students are going to be putting any work into this course, and I don't want them to be able to go in and just like copy stuff off or you know, take advantage of that kind of thing. Then I do the same thing. I go into manage class, and this time I click make inactive. When a class is inactive, it's not accessible by others until made active again. Do you want to make this class inactive? I click OK. And now class test period 2 is inactive. It can't be seen by any students. It doesn't delete anything. It doesn't do anything like that. It just makes it inactive. It takes away the visibility. It takes away the student ability to access the course. So then the last feature that I'm going to go over before I stop the recording is going to be creating a template based off of a finished course. So if you've got a semester-long course at this point that you think is done and ready for the next course, you know, you could take every page and move it or copy it over to your next course. But that ends up being a lot more work and clicking than it needs to be. Instead, we can create a template based off of a completed course. So if this course is in a state where I say, yes, this is how I want to use it for next semester, all I have to do is go up to Manage Class, Save Class As, And then this gives me the option to save this class as a template. So I can create a template based off of all the stuff that I put into this class. I can do just the page structure, or I can do with all the page content, and in most cases you're going to want to keep all the page content. You get to choose what you keep when you send it over to create a template, and then you also get to choose what stuff you want to keep when you bring it back into a class form. So in this case, I want to select everything and send that all over into the template. Then I'll hit next. And then I get to name my template. So in this case, test period 2, template 2, because I'm pretty sure I already had test period 2, template 1. Then I can add something in here to make sure that I remember what this class is, and then I'll hit save. And it's going to take all the stuff from my one class and make a copy of it in this class with, just that series of 2 or 3 clicks, rather than going in and copying every page by hand. So it'll take a while for everything to show up, but I'll go ahead and go to my template page so that you can see what a template looks like. So this is the template based off of my Tech Thursday page that I've just been dumping a bunch of junk into, and it's got all of my junk there. Everything that I've added into the Tech Thursday course has been brought over so that I can just ship this out again and use this for the next semester. So to do that, it's the same way as creating a template. You click on Manage Template, and then you do Save Class As. And this time you pick New Class, and then you can select which stuff you want to include. So say for instance I had created a bunch of polls, but they were all based off of current events. They're no longer relevant. If I don't want them in my next class, I just deselect those. And then I click Next. Then I give my class the name. So in this case it'd be Tech Thursday 2019 Master Class. And once I hit save on this, it'll create a new masterclass with all the content that I've already created, and then it's ready for me to go in and roster it in the same way that I did with the brand new class from earlier in the demonstration. So again, this is a lot to take in all at once. I'm sure you guys have questions, and I'll start taking them after I hit stop on the recording. But if you have any questions later on, or when you're reading or watching the recording back, go ahead and email me.